What is good, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Ouija Macc's 2017 EP Trashfire. Now, this is basically the project that Ouija Macc made to catch the attention of ICP back in 2017 and got him signed to Psychopathic Records, which, apart from like Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope, Ouija Macc is basically one of the only real notable artist that's still signed to Psychopathic Records. So it's been a weird kind of amalgamation of what's been happening with Psychopathic Records. I need to recheck in with them and see what's kind of been going up with that sort of thing. But I do at least know that this is a pretty hit project, and you'll be surprised at the score I'm going to give this. Not because it's surprising that it's quality, but just the fact that I just had never really checked this guy out previously, and the fact that just this first project that I listened to by him is such a dynamite success. That's just an outstanding kind of thing. But yeah, Ouija Macc would later go on to be signed to Psychopathic Records in 2017, and he'd drop his debut album on Psychopathic Records, Gutter Water, which basically has like a really kind of muddled green album cover that's basically just like a green version of Nirvana's Nevermind album. If you've seen the Nirvana Nevermind album cover, that's blue with like a baby in like a swimming pool or something like that. But the Ouija Macc one is green with like an alien and like some sort of mutant swimming pool, something like that. So it's pretty dope that kind of happened. But this is like the project that caught Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope's attention back in 2017. It's just pretty awesome to kind of say because this is a hit project. The whole thing about it is Ouija Macc does not have a wiki page about him and just doesn't have an overabundance of biographies really about him. It's kind of here and there. Like I also looked on allmusic.com to see what they said, but they basically only really talked about just the fact that he got signed in 2017, and they briefly talked about his Gutter Water album from 2018. But apart from that, there's not really an overabundance of information about Ouija Macc. It's still kind of relatively fresh, and there's just not a bunch of bubbling ideas that kind of go on about this guy as far as talking about the stuff that he's done. I mean, it's been 6 years now that he's been signed almost Psychopathic Records, so we would think, but it's just kind of, he's just kind of an underground artist. That's just kind of the concept about it. So it's just kind of underneath the context of being able to say, so looking after some of these things, what would be some hits on here? So basically, because there's not really information about this project, I'm not really 100% sure as far as what the singles were. And I looked on YouTube to see if there were any music videos, and like there was like a fan made video for like Trashfire, the title track. And keep in mind, I'm not reviewing the deluxe. There is a deluxe version of Trashfire that came out later, but because I'm kind of tired and such and didn't get a lot of sleep, I'm only going to review the 8-song EP. So I will eventually get to the deluxe edition of Trashfire and get some more of these, but I'm just going to review the 8 songs on the original edition that came out in the fall of 2017 as far as that kind of goes. But yeah, Trashfire, there was just a fan-made music video for this sort of thing, but I don't really know the singles for this project. But I would have to say, basically, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the highlights here. So the only real song out of the 8 songs that I didn't enjoy was just Fuck Me Over. But the rest of the other 7 songs, Leak, Talk About It, Turn Out All the Lights, Hair Shorty, or Hair Shoddy, Piece of Shit, Spill the Sauce, and Trashfire are all outstanding hits. So I'm just going to dissect these and then we'll kind of get to them. So the best beat, I feel like the most flashy kind of outstanding beat on here, not to say that the rest, I definitely feel like one of the beats that stood out the most and just has the most instantaneous kind of beat on here is Turn Out All the Lights. That one's like a real flashy kind of club joint. Definitely one to cruise around in. This has like a real kind of, this feels like a nice kind of litty kind of weekend, just stunting, flossing in your car type vibe. Just pretty manufactured for like a club night out. This is probably one of the flashier songs on the album. Basically, I would say basically the flashiest song on the album, apart from Spill the Sauce. Trashfire, the title track, is a nice nightclub song, but this is kind of more in like a house party type setting. There are some house party songs on here. I feel like Trashfire, I feel like Leak, and I feel like Piece of Shit are all great I feel like Trashfire, Piece of Shit, and Leak are all great house party kind of songs, just kind of in the classic sense of if you're just got a couple cats at home and you're just hotboxing in your whip and that type of stuff and just kind of really getting some smoke sessions going. I definitely feel like Leak is probably the best song for like a hot box type feel. And a side note about this project is just the fact that this is very much a Demon Time album. If you know about Demon Time and that type stuff, I would definitely have to say that this is basically the whole project. All 8 of these songs are just shifted towards the nightlife, as if blue collar and lackadaisical workaday type stuff doesn't really exist, and that's fine. You know, I like the concept of switching the clock to past 6 o'clock p.m. to about 6 or 7 a.m., and that's kind of the context. But there is at least one song that's kind of relatively in blue collar, just very briefly, just mildly tinged towards that, and that would be Talk About It. This one just struck me as like a song that's like just getting off of work, like probably the last 15 minutes, or just got off work like 5, 10, 15 minutes ago, in your car cruising around getting ready to find some sort of situation to have pop off and that type of stuff. I definitely feel like that's a nice one for it. Just a nice, I mean, it's basically just a kind of on the phone song, but it's just kind of one of those situations to really enjoy like the surroundings as like things get ready to happen. I would say this is a pretty nice Thursday song, definitely, but it is kind of mildly blue collar. Hair Shoddy is a nice one. For this one has a real kind of slinky beat. There's like some 3-6 Mafia songs I don't remember that kind of had that, but it just kind of has like these horns in here, and this is a real kind of hazed out, kind of really kind of sluggish and lethargic kind of song, but it's just a perfect song. Definitely a Demon Time song for like all the various women that Ouija Macc kind of has and that type of stuff. Just a real slinky kind of freaky deaky kind of song for the ladies in that type of sense. Definitely for some juggalettes out there, it's a pretty nice one. I would say Spill the Sauce is probably the cruising song. This is one that I feel like is probably the most stunting kind of song of these. Spill the Sauce is kind of like a pull-up song. This is definitely one to pull up to and kind of cruise around pretty nice, stunting, that type of stuff. Just kind of going out and flossing and those sorts of moments. Just kind of a flex song in a lot of ways. It's pretty flashy. Not quite as flashy as Turn Out All the Lights, but that one's just more of a club song. But this is kind of more of like a stunting and flexing kind of song, Spill the Sauce. And Piece of Shit's a really nice one. Like, I think I talked about this one briefly, but this is kind of an entry, kind of congregating, getting some pounds, getting some dap kind of club song. Definitely can be a house party song, but I feel like this one and Turn Out All the Lights are probably the flashiest of like the club songs on here. Piece of Shit just really has a nice kind of infectious, kind of congregating kind of energy towards it. Definitely a fraternizing kind of song. Yeah, like Leak is kind of like a dungeon song. This is definitely one that has like a real house party kind of energy where you're just smoke fills the room and that type stuff. Definitely a Demon Time. I mean, the lyrics are pretty like carnivorous. I definitely feel like the lyrics are pretty carnivorous. I definitely feel like Ouija Macc gets pretty dark just with wanting to attack folks and get pissed off and that type stuff. I definitely feel like within that context, but just looking at it from like the context of just smoking and kind of having a few beers and just kind of hot boxing and flirting with some ladies that come by and that type of stuff, I think kept in like a relatively lackadaisical kind of situation, it does pop off better. But that's just it is kind of more violent than the situations to which you would want to listen to it, just kind of within that context. But it is a great hot box and kind of Demon Time song, I would have to say. And I think that about covers it. Just to talk about Trashfire a little bit more, that one's definitely kind of a house. Trashfire is a nice nightclub song and definitely a nice house party song. I definitely feel like either way, you can't go wrong with playing this song. It's just an overall great energy for it. So to talk about some of these just kind of within that context, I feel like Trashfire, Turn Out All the Lights, and Piece of Shit are like the nightclub and kind of club type songs. And I feel like Leak, Trashfire, the title track, and Hair Shoddy, and Hair Shoddy, and Trashfire are kind of the ones for like a house party and that type stuff. And I would feel like there are some songs like Spill the Sauce and Talk About It that are kind of in the whip and kind of cruising around, just trying to figure out what to do, and kind of, well, especially Spill the Sauce is like the flex and cruising around kind of song, but Talk About It's kind of the just got off work trying to find something to do kind of song. So that's just kind of the concept. There's just a good amalgamation of house party moments, kind of stepping out, and it's actually surprising that Ouija Macc, despite the fact that I don't know if this was signed to a label or what label this was on prior to him being with Psychopathic Records, but a lot of this has some pretty nice budget, flashy kind of productions on here that are more lit than a lot of stuff from around 2017 or so, at least around that time, in terms of folks, whether or not they were signed or not. So this is kind of the context of being able to say that this has a lot of budget for this bravado, this far in. Now, I know that Ouija Macc did have prior projects to signing with Psychopathic, and he was kind of in a group before that, but it's just interesting to kind of get some of these just kind of within that context as far as the quality of it. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and score this album. I'm going to give this EP, a 10 out of 10, just because of the quality behind it. I feel like it's really kind of lit, and that's just kind of the concept. The only real song I didn't enjoy was just Fuck Me Over, and this one was kind of trying to be like a personal song, and I just didn't really like the beat arrangement of that one. It was pretty much the most awkward one. Definitely sounded like a trap beat. There's a lot of beats on here that do sound like trap beats, but I do feel like the Fuck Me Over one was probably the worst of the trap beats. It's pretty much the only real dud out of the whole project, at least the 8-song EP. And so this EP gets a 10 out of 10. The social score gets a 10 out of 10 too, just because it's just a really festive and exorbitant. The social score gets a 10 because it's a really festive and exorbitant kind of time that just kind of deals with like stepping out, house party type stuff for when you don't step out, and then kind of the moments of just cruising around trying to find stuff to do, and just the various kind of ousting points of how that kind of goes. So it's just got some real kind of like busybody kind of bolsterness about it that just kind of has like the concept of just being able to have a good affable time. And the only real thing so yeah, I would say that virtually takes care of it. So 10s across the board. It's just an overall good, fun package. And it's easy to see why ICP signed Ouija Macc, because this is just a quality project that has a lot of good qualities about it. So it's kind of the thing. So in terms of the future, like there are like Ouija Macc is still signed to ICP Psychopathic Records label, and he's dropped a lot of stuff. I mean, he has a bunch of projects. He really took off like wildfire with them, so it's just interesting to kind of get some of that stuff and kind of see it. But yeah, there's a bunch of projects. I'm definitely going to review Gutter Water down the road and just see some more of these. But that's pretty much, I feel like this is a pretty quality outing, is Ouija Macc Trashfire.